I'm Marisa Norcross.
And I'm Dave Freund, and this is The Next Page. Hello there, Marisa.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you. It is great to be home.
Yes. Tell us again where you were.
I was in Orlando, Florida at the International Maxwell Certification event, which occurs twice a year. I try to attend once a year, where they have not only new John Maxwell certified team members getting their certification, but some of us that are alums go back to get additional training. Awesome. So it was awesome. It was a great event.
Yeah. Even though you're a little under the weather still.
This was the first time when I went to the event. I had a cold, well, our listeners know, for a couple of weeks. I thought that I had gotten over it. But when I got to Orlando, it got worse. And so finally, this morning, I started to feel a little bit better.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
So my voice is not where it needs to be. This will probably be a very short podcast because really we only have one topic we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And it was an experience that I made while I was down there, but literally my voice probably won't hold up very long. Anyways, so my post that came out this morning was part 2 of To Write or Not to Write. And for our listeners that don't get the email, a week ago, I talked about journaling. And I talked about the value of journaling. But then I also said that when I was going to head to Orlando, I was going to try something different. And I did. And so what I did, for the benefit of our listeners that don't get the post, is in my notes every day. So I was down there for 5 days. There's the content that you get at an event like this. A lot of folks say it's like drinking from a fire hose. It is literally mega downloads of information every day, and they're long days. You know, they may start at 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, you know, and can go till 7 at night.
Wow.
Type of thing, or later. I typically don't do anything later because I physically can't comprehend much more. But you're making notes all day long, and what I did this time was I decided that in my note pages on my planner, I would put a J in front of any line that was just a journal entry. So typically I'll write a title and I'll put an asterisk and I'll do those kind of things for my notes. But if I came across something that I thought was really valuable, that was a thought that came into my mind that would be a typical journal entry, I simply wrote a J and then went through and wrote that note right in the middle of all my other notes. Now, the other thing that I did was I went back after the fact and highlighted those things with a highlighter just so that I could be able to find them quicker. The journal
entries. Okay.
The journal entries, exactly. And so they're interspersed throughout the pages. And as I kind of flip through these pages, some pages have a lot more than others. Some pages, I'm looking at one page, doesn't have any journal entries. And I noticed a couple patterns here. Depending on the trainer, there's a lot more journal entries.
So were the journal entries things that maybe came as a result of a statement and then a feeling?
Yes.
Or like a reflective aspect? So not so much based on content, but based on feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's I'm listening to what's being said, and a feeling comes or a thought comes that is not necessarily content driven, but is something that I really need to consider more deeply. Here's an example.
Okay.
I'm just looking at a page right in front of me. When I prepare to speak, I need to think more about the people I am speaking with. So that had nothing to do with the content, but it was a feeling that I got. So this was a session. Mark Cole, the CEO of John Maxwell's companies, was doing a breakout teaching. There might have been 80 or 100 of us, I think, in a room. He's talking about leading with vision and focus. And so you can tell that the topic is leading with vision and focus. My reflection has nothing to do with the content. But as I'm looking at my note, Mark probably said something like, and in fact, I remember what it was now. I woke up at 3:30 this morning and I started thinking about you folks.
Mm-hmm.
And it just hit me. I need to think more about the people that I'm speaking with, whether it's a coaching session, whether it's a training session. You know, too often speakers say things that they think the most important thing is what they want to say.
Mm-hmm.
But great speakers think about what the people need to hear.
So I think what you shared is a great example. You were able to recall and reflect on something that happened a week ago by looking at this journal entry in your notes.
Exactly.
And the important thing, I think, is that you didn't just write down what Mark said word for word. And you didn't take what he said and just spit it out into your notebook. You reflected on what he said and wrote something that is very applicable to you, actionable, and means something and has feeling attached to it. And so I think you will remember it more now. It'll be something that you can easily act on and not just here's, like a example of what happened while you were there. You actually did something with it, which I think is one of the benefits of journaling and note-taking in general.
Absolutely. Because, we spend so much money going to trainings.
Right.
I think the hotel bill was $1,400.
Wow.
Because it's a beautiful hotel, but that's an insane amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I was there 6 nights. I don't remember. I have to go back and look. But still, it's an insane amount of money with all the taxes and fees. And, and even though I don't have to pay to attend the event because I'm one of the executive directors, but I still have to pay for the hotel. Mm-hmm. There's food, there's travel, and yet in me writing down what I was feeling or what I thought, it actually led me back to recalling what Mark said. Mm-hmm. So that's great that you picked up on that. I also noticed, so I went through I don't know how many pages of notes, and I have about 38 journal entries.
So that was actually my next question, was did you, or are you planning to go through and take just the journal entries and move them into I don't know, do you keep multiple notebooks, or are you going to put those in one place altogether or leave them in line with your notes? How are you going to handle that?
Sure. So that's a great question. So one of the things that, and we haven't talked a lot in our podcasts about my planner system that I'm kind of still in the process of developing for myself. Mm-hmm. But one of the things I try to do, our listeners know that at the end of the year I do a reflection. And so what I've tried to go through this year, and sometimes I do great, other times I fall back and then I have to catch up, but is that I do a weekly reflection of my notes and then a monthly summary of the weekly summaries, so that by the time I get to the end of the year, I would only have, let's say, 12 pages of notes to reflect on. Mm-hmm. So it should speed the process up, mm-hmm. and like the cream should rise to the surface.
Right.
So what I will be doing now that I'm getting some energy back is I'll go back through and specifically look at my journal entries, mm-hmm. and those will become part of my key reflection points. So I will pull them out of the notes. They'll mm-hmm. still be here.
Right.
So that and the reason why I like the fact that it's in my day planner, if I can call it that. If I need to see when I was reflecting on it, I can look around at the notes around it. Mm-hmm. If I've lost some relevance. So I really like that idea rather than a separate book. And again, this works for me. This doesn't necessarily work for everybody else.
And you hand wrote all of this? It's not
all of it was handwritten.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, there was no typing. I took my laptop. I have a keyboard for my iPad. This was all just handwritten notes. Mm-hmm. I think it's less distracting to people around you, mm-hmm. if you're writing on a pad, mm-hmm. than than if you're typing. I mean, I saw a bunch of people typing, and it doesn't bother me, but it may be disruptive to other people.
We talked about this last week. What did you do with your notes each night when you went back? Did you read through them in their entirety, only look at the journal entries? How did you do that?
Yeah, so my plan was that I was going to read through all my notes each night when I went back to my room.
Mm-hmm.
I physically was not well enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
In full transparency. I mean, I got back to my room and I just, because every day, so what was stressful for me was I didn't want to cough in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make other people uncomfortable. So I'm sucking on cough drops. I'm sucking on tea. And when I got back to my room, I just literally crashed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, had I been feeling up to it, I would have gone through my notes every night,
mm-hmm.
but I didn't feel good enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What shocked me, though, and I think this is the power of the journaling, as bad as I felt for those days, I'm shocked I got as much information out of it as I did.
Well, I think probably because you were being more intentional about your note-taking since you committed to me and all your listeners.
Yeah.
But, it's a good thing you made that commitment before this conference, because otherwise you probably wouldn't have come away with as much given your, health situation.
Well, see that, and there again, that's the power of accountability,
mm-hmm.
And sharing. Do we have people in our lives that we are sharing things with
mm-hmm.
that will hold us accountable? So there was another thing that I, because of my reflection and my journaling, there was one, and I forgot what day it was. So with my daily attitude, the one morning I chose patience. It might have been Tuesday. I could go back and look, but, and it was because I wrote, I still have my cold and I need to be patient. And literally I have to be honest that I felt worse as the week went on.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first couple nights were good and I had some energy, but boy, by Sunday night into Monday, it was just starting to go downhill quickly. But I wrote that Tuesday morning. You picked up on the fact that I had a cold. Then you searched to find out where the nearest Starbucks was. Found out that there was one in my hotel. Then you told me, you replied to my email, go down and get a medicine bomb, which amazing. This medicine bomb was amazing. I don't know how many of those I bought from Tuesday on. Literally, and I even tried to get one in the Orlando airport Wednesday night. They didn't have everything they could, so it was not as good. But anyways, so I get this. So what I'm finding is, okay, somebody cares enough about me to search the internet to find the nearest Starbucks to give me a recommendation. Then I go down there and the line literally goes around the corner. Like there's no way that I'm going to be able to get this and get back into the session. Well, one of my buddies is there he introduces me to his wife, and I share with him that, how nice is it that one of my colleagues recommends this, and he goes, well, wait, don't get in line. We'll just get it for you. So my reflection point in my journal was, I can't believe that Marisa thought enough to search the internet. I can't believe that, Cornelius and his wife are going to pick up and it was just a positive moment in what could have been a really trying day.
Mm-hmm.
But if I hadn't journaled it, I wouldn't have thought about it. So there, even in the midst of a really difficult time, a trying time, I'm journaling about the fact that there's people that care enough to search the internet, or get my beverage for me. And then going back into the Starbucks multiple times, the one lady's saying, so you're still feeling sick? Yeah, I'm still sick. It was interesting that even Capital One wanted to know, did I really buy 2 of those back to back? Because I got an alert.
Yeah, I get those too.
But that's the power of the journaling piece.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm I think this is something that I need to continue going forward.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm going to take more and more of my notes in my planner, less on my digital devices,
mm-hmm.
and just put the J down for the journaling piece. And it's so much easier
mm-hmm.
to capture these meaningful thoughts in the moment.
Yeah.
So that you can make a shift in your life.
Yeah, and so I think, what we're trying to get across here is that, this might not be the same system that everyone uses, but it's important to find a system that works for you. And I mean, for me, I admitted last week that I'm not the best journaler either.
Yep.
But I know it's something I need to get better at. So, I've spent the last week looking for opportunities for okay, I could be journaling in this situation or that situation, or and really thinking about what it could look like for me. Is it going to be a notebook? Is it going to be more of like a binder system? So I'm still kind of working through some of those things.
Sure.
I still have the journals that I keep for my daughters. I still have my 5-minute journal, but thinking about how I can have more of a system like you do with the reflective pieces that I'm actually like writing, not necessarily putting on a digital device, and just getting things out of my head, I think has been powerful. And just even something as simple as Isla's 3rd birthday is coming up, and so we're planning the party. And normally I would like keep a lot of it in my head and maybe put some of it into an app on my phone, like a list making app. But just a few days ago, I dumped it all into a piece of paper that I hand wrote, and just getting that mental clarity, putting it down, being able to see what it looks like on paper, closing some of the tabs on my internet browser, which like anyone that knows me knows that I have way too many tabs open, both on my internet browser and in my head at the same time. Way too many. So being able to put that on paper and clearing up some of that mental space and capacity has been really good. And it was just something really simple. So I know I need to start doing more, and I need to develop my system. But I wanted to report that I am working on it, and I have been thinking about those opportunities. So
good. And there is no perfect, and there is no perfect system.
Right.
I'm 57. I'm still working on figuring out the best way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And the key is that you got to figure out what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And your phase of life is very different than my phase of life.
Right.
Or my wife's phase of life, because you've got little ones. And so I think I think one of the things I don't want our listeners to do is I don't want them to feel that they need to be perfect.
Right.
That they need to do what I do or what you do. They need to do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to share this because I would never wish to get sick. And I was doing so well.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're there. Everybody's trying to figure out what exactly did you have, because there's some people that said, well, you obviously had the flu. Well, I never had a fever, so I don't know if I had, anyways, who knows? Whatever I had. Hopefully that's almost gone. But the fact that I was able to maintain the journaling while feeling lousy tells me that this should be pretty easy for me to continually do.
Mm-hmm.
So, the one thing I wish, if I could go back, if I was healthier, I probably would have done more recapping time at night, because I wouldn't have just gone back to my room and crashed. But okay, it still worked, even though I didn't do that part of it.
Right.
And now I've got some time in my schedule to go back through the notes. There were some really amazing takeaways, and I'm sure in some of our my upcoming emails, some of these takeaways will be there, because there were some really profoundly amazing things that I learned while I was there.
Awesome.
And I know some of that will come out, and there's some new things happening that I'll be sharing with our listeners over time. Some different individuals partnering with the John Maxwell team, and really having greater impact in our communities, which is super exciting.
That's awesome.
So you have a birthday.
I do.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I won't sing because it'll sound really bad, but I wish you a very blessed birthday.
Thank you.
Do you have any special plans for your birthday?
So actually last night my husband surprised me with a dinner party.
That's nice.
Yeah, so we went out with some of our close friends, and it was really nice.
Good.
And
Awesome.
dinner was wonderful, and we didn't have the kids. It was just quality time with some of our friends. And then, so that was last night, and then tomorrow is my actual birthday. So I think I'm actually going to just make myself a special dessert. And it's going to be my first attempt at this new dessert. So we'll see. Okay. It's going to involve some chocolate mousse, and there's going to be some almond butter topping, and we'll see how it comes out.
Sounds good.
I think it's going to be different because of all my allergies. So it's like gluten free, and it's vegan, and it's all all the things because I'm high maintenance like that. But so that I'm kind of looking forward to spending some time trying something new, and hopefully it comes out.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm just going to try to get better.
Good. And I won't bother you now with what we'll talk about next week. You can just surprise me.
Thank you. I will do that. Great. So also just a reminder, if anybody has any questions they'd want to ask us, we're still, putting together our episode, which will be, we answer any question you have. So please, go into the show notes, connect with us on the email, and tell us what you'd like us to, any question you want us to answer, we'll answer. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, all those good things. So with that, I'm Dave Freund.
I'm Marisa Norcross.
And this was The Next Page.